Welcome to Coins Quest, the ultimate destination for discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, where every cent tells a story and every coin could hold a secret worth a fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the world of one of the most fascinating and valuable coins ever struck, the 1981 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface looks like any ordinary penny, but because of its unique errors, rare variations, and mysterious minting anomalies, has stunned collectors by reaching a staggering value of up to $200,000 in the rarest and most extraordinary conditions. Now, imagine finding such a coin in your loose change, a coin that most people would overlook, toss into a jar, or spend without a second thought, not realizing that it's one of the most sought-after error coins in the entire Lincoln cent series. The 1981 D penny was minted at the Denver Mint, and it holds an especially interesting place in U.S. numismatic history because it came out during a transitional period for the Lincoln cent series, right before the switch from the traditional bronze composition, 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, to the newer copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982. This transition brought with it a host of challenges and minting inconsistencies that sometimes resulted in incredible and valuable mistakes. For collectors, this era represents a goldmine of possibilities, from double die errors to off-center strikes, from misaligned dies to planchet composition anomalies, and the 1981 D penny sits right at the heart of that chaos. What makes this coin potentially worth $200,000 isn't just rarity in mintage numbers but the rare combination of minting flaws and exceptional preservation that transforms it from a common cent into a collector's dream. One of the most spectacular errors ever documented on a 1981 D penny is the double die verse, where the image of Abraham Lincoln, along with the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. This doubling is sometimes so clear that even the naked eye can spot it, especially around the letters of Liberty, or the date 1981. Collectors hunt feverishly for such examples, as strong doubling adds immense value to any coin, and the more dramatic the doubling, the higher the price it commands at auction. Some of these doubled die 1981 D pennies have fetched thousands of dollars in mint state condition, and coins with near-perfect surfaces, full red luster, and strong strike details can multiply that value exponentially. Now, consider the even rarer errors like off-center strikes, coins where the blank planchet was not properly aligned when struck by the dies, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing, often replaced by a blank crescent of unstruck metal. A 1981 D penny with an off-center strike exceeding 50% but retaining the full date and mint mark can easily bring thousands, and when combined with other errors, the value can skyrocket. Then there are die cracks and die cuts, where damage or deterioration in the minting dies leads to raised lines or blobs of metal appearing on the coin's surface, imperfections that make each coin completely unique. Some 1981 D pennies showed die cracks running through Lincoln's head or along the rim, forming striking patterns that attract collectors who specialize in die varieties. In even rarer cases, a retained cut or die break can create dramatic raised areas on the coin, making it look almost sculptural and instantly valuable to the right buyer. But one of the most intriguing error possibilities for 1981 D pennies is the transitional planchet error. Because 1982 marked the official transition from the copper-based alloy to zinc-based composition, it is believed that a small number of planchets prepared for the newer composition may have been accidentally mixed into the production process in 1981 or vice versa. This means that a 1981 D penny could theoretically exist on a zinc planchet, or a 1982 penny could exist on a bronze planchet, and either of these would represent an extraordinary rarity. To identify such coins, collectors use precise weighing tools. A genuine 1981 D copper penny should weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while a zinc one would weigh around 2.5 grams. If a 1981 D penny were ever found weighing around 2.5 grams, it could represent an unprecedented minting mistake worth well over $200,000 to the right collector, as transitional planchet errors are among the most prized discoveries in all of modern numismatics. Beyond composition errors, some 1981 D pennies also show examples of repunched mint marks, a phenomenon caused by the manual punching of the D mint mark into the die, a process that was still done by hand during that time. If the engraver accidentally misaligned the punch, they would correct it by punching it again, sometimes creating a visible doubling or shadowing effect around the D. Such repunched mint marks, especially when sharply visible, are highly collectible and can significantly increase the coin's desirability and value. Furthermore, there are coins with machine doubling, a type of mechanical error caused when the coin shifts slightly during the striking process, resulting in flat, shelf-like doubling on the letters or numbers. While machine doubling is more common and less valuable than true hub doubling, it still adds a layer of intrigue and collectability to a coin, especially if combined with other striking or surface anomalies. Another fascinating aspect that affects the 1981 D penny's potential value is its condition and color designation. In numismatic grading terms, coins are categorized by their luster and toning as RD, red, RB, red-brown, or BN brown. A 1981 D penny in full red, meaning it retains its original fiery copper sheen with minimal oxidation, is exceedingly rare to find in mint state condition because copper tends to tone and darken over time. In MS67RD or higher grades certified by leading grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, such coins can already command hundreds or thousands of dollars, even without major errors. Combine such pristine preservation with a dramatic error, and you have a recipe for a $200,000 numismatic gem. Another type of error that can catapult the value of a 1981 D penny is the broad strike or partial collar error, which occurs when the coin is struck without the restraining collar die that normally shapes the coin's edge. This leads to an expanded or distorted shape, often giving the coin a wider than normal diameter and flat edges. Because broad strikes are visually striking and unmistakable, they hold great appeal among collectors, especially when the coin remains fully readable with a complete date and mint mark. Off-metal errors, though extremely rare for this date, are also a possibility. For example, if a foreign planchet or a planchet intended for another denomination accidentally entered the press. A 1981 D penny struck on a dime planchet, for instance, would appear smaller, lighter, and have missing design elements near the rim. Such exotic mint errors are like lightning strikes in the world of coin collecting, nearly impossible to predict, but unforgettable when found, and they can fetch astronomical sums at auction. And let's not forget the intriguing category of struck-through errors, where foreign materials such as grease, cloth fibers, or metal shavings interfere with the striking process, leaving distinctive imprints or blanked-out areas on the coin. Some 1981 D pennies have been discovered with grease-filled dies, where parts of the design appear faint or missing altogether. Imagine a penny missing part of Liberty, or In God We Trust. To casual observers, such coins might look worn or damaged, but seasoned collectors know that genuine struck-through errors can be worth hundreds or thousands depending on visibility and rarity. Another subtle but important factor that can make a 1981 D penny valuable is die deterioration doubling, often seen around the date or lettering, caused by overuse of the dies late in their life cycle. While common, examples with extreme deterioration can exhibit fascinating textures and distortions that add to their appeal. Some collectors even specialize in these end-of-life die-state coins, viewing them as physical records of the mint's industrial wear and tear, pieces of history preserved in copper. Now, let's talk about rarity and the collector psychology that drives prices for coins like the 1981 D penny sky high. The allure lies in the hunt. Millions of these coins were produced, yet only a handful show dramatic errors or survive in untouched, mint-fresh condition. It's this combination of accessibility and improbability that makes them so fascinating. Anyone can find a 1981 D penny, but almost no one will find the one with the life-changing error. Every coin collector dreams of being that lucky finder, the person who spots the tiny doubling on a letter or the slightly off-center strike that others missed. Stories circulate in the numismatic world about people discovering rare Lincoln cents in coin rolls, estate sales, or even in pocket change. These tales fuel the excitement. Welcome to Coins Quest, the channel where small change reveals big fortunes and ordinary pennies turn into incredible stories of history, rarity, and wealth. In today's deep exploration, we turn our focus toward one of the most legendary and awe-inspiring coins ever struck in the United States mint's history, the 1969 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface seems as common as any other penny you'd find in your pocket, but because of extraordinary minting mistakes, fascinating anomalies, and the mystique surrounding its doubled die varieties, has become one of the most desirable and valuable Lincoln cents known to collectors, sometimes commanding prices that soar as high as $600,000 in the most dramatic cases. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin worth $600,000, an unbelievable fortune for a coin most people would simply spend without a second thought. To understand how this humble 1969 D penny could reach such astronomical value, we have to travel back to the time of its creation, a time when the U.S. Mint was operating at full throttle, producing billions of Lincoln cents to meet America's booming post-war economy, and when even a microscopic error in the minting process could birth a rarity that would one day become the stuff of collector legend. The 1969 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark below the date on the obverse side of the coin, and it represents one of the most prolific mintages in the entire Lincoln series, with over 4 billion coins produced that year. However, despite those massive numbers, what makes this coin special are the few extremely rare specimens that exhibit extraordinary minting errors, particularly those involving doubling of the design elements, planchet issues, and other striking irregularities. Among the most famous of these is the doubled die obverse error, one of the most iconic and valuable types of errors in all of numismatics. While the most well-known doubled die from 1969 comes from the Philadelphia Mint and bears no mint mark, the Denver issues have also been scrutinized for similar striking anomalies that produce unique visual doubling on the date and lettering, making them exceptionally collectible. The doubled die process occurs during die creation, when the working die receives more than one impression from the master hub but is slightly misaligned between strikes. This causes a dramatic duplication of design elements, especially noticeable on the inscriptions like "Liberty in God We Trust" and the date 1969. When such doubling is strong and clear, it transforms a coin from ordinary to legendary. While the 1969's doubled die penny is the superstar of this era, rare examples of dramatic doubling on Denver minted coins have been documented by specialists and are considered hidden treasures in the collecting world. Imagine holding a penny where every letter seems doubled, almost vibrating with visual intensity, the kind of error that instantly catches the eye even under casual inspection. Such coins can fetch life-changing sums when authenticated and graded by top-tier certification services like PCGS or NGC. But doubling isn't the only factor that gives the 1969 D penny its mystique and six-figure valuation potential. The Denver Mint in the late 1960s was no stranger to striking irregularities, and collectors have identified numerous varieties that push this coin into the realm of extreme rarity. One category of valuable errors includes off-center strikes, where the coin blank, or planchet, was misaligned during the striking process. A 1969 D penny struck 50% off-center yet still showing the complete date and mint mark could easily fetch thousands, and if that same coin happens to also show a doubled die, the value skyrockets exponentially. Even more intriguing are broad strike errors, where the restraining collar fails during striking, allowing the metal to expand outward, producing a wider and sometimes slightly warped coin. These are visually striking and instantly identifiable, coins that defy the uniformity expected from the mint's precision machinery. Every such error tells the story of a fleeting mechanical misstep, a moment in time when minting perfection gave way to rarity. Another major reason behind the 1969 D penny's incredible value potential lies in the ongoing fascination with die cracks, cuds, and retained breaks. Because of the massive mintage pressures of the Denver Mint, dies were often used until they began to deteriorate. Over time, metal fatigue caused cracks to form in the dies themselves, which would then transfer onto the coins as raised lines or blobs of metal. Some 1969 D pennies show beautiful die cracks running through Lincoln's portrait, while others exhibit cuds, areas where a piece of the die actually broke off, leaving a distinctive blob of raised metal near the rim. These cuds make each coin unique, a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history. Particularly large or dramatic cuts can make a 1969 penny a centerpiece of any collection, with values soaring into the thousands, and when combined with pristine condition, historical appeal, or multiple errors on a single coin, it can easily reach six figures at auction. The year 1969 was also an important transitional period in minting technology and die preparation methods, leading to some fascinating minor varieties and anomalies that today's collectors obsess over. One example is the phenomenon of repunched mintmarks, RPMs, where the D mintmark appears doubled or shadowed because it was punched into the die multiple times by hand, slightly misaligned with each strike. Since the Denver Mint was responsible for punching its own mintmarks before the era of digital precision, these RPM varieties are scattered throughout the Lincoln Cent series, and the 1969 D has some of the most interesting examples. A clear, strong repunched mintmark can make even a regular coin highly desirable, and when coupled with other attributes like full red luster and gem condition, its price can jump dramatically. Now, another factor that drives the potential $600,000 valuation for certain 1969 D pennies is the composition and planchet quality. These coins were struck on bronze planchets composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, a formula that had been in place for decades, giving the coins a rich reddish tone when freshly minted. However, inconsistencies in planchet alloy mixing, improper annealing, heating, or contamination can lead to dramatic color variations and even surface textures that make individual coins stand out. Coins struck on improperly prepared planchets, for example, those with laminations, clipped edges, or incomplete metal bonding, are considered mint errors and can be worth hundreds or thousands depending on severity. The rarest and most dramatic lamination errors can show entire layers of metal peeling away, revealing a raw, uneven texture that's both visually fascinating and numismatically significant. Another possibility that makes the 1969 D penny so captivating to collectors is the off-metal strike, when a coin is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. While rare, there have been instances where Lincoln cents were struck on dime or foreign coin planchets, resulting in coins that are lighter, smaller, or of unusual coloration. A 1969 D penny struck on a dime planchet, for instance, would lack full design details at the edges and appear silvery in color, an ultra-rare phenomenon that could easily command tens of thousands at auction. Combine that with strong doubling or another significant error, and suddenly the six-figure mark becomes completely realistic. Struck-through errors are another remarkable category that can elevate a 1969 D penny's value. During high-speed coin production, grease, dust, or even bits of metal can become lodged in the dies, partially obstructing the design. Coins struck under such conditions exhibit missing or faint design elements, like a missing Liberty, or an incomplete portrait of Lincoln, not due to wear, but because the design was never fully struck. These errors are particularly prized when they affect key parts of the design in dramatic ways. The beauty of such errors lies in their randomness. No two are alike, and they visually tell the story of a momentary imperfection in an otherwise mechanical process. Imagine a 1969 D penny missing half of Lincoln's face due to a grease-filled die, perfectly struck otherwise. It would be an irresistible piece for collectors of error coins. Then we have the phenomenon of die deterioration doubling and machine doubling, which, while more common, can still make a 1969 D penny fascinating to examine. Machine doubling occurs when the die or coin shifts slightly during the moment of impact, creating flat, shelf-like doubling on the letters or numbers. Though generally less valuable than true double die errors, machine doubling can still add uniqueness and collectability, especially when present in conjunction with other, rarer features. Some collectors even specialize in compiling full sets of such minor varieties, documenting the fascinating mechanical nuances of each minting year. Beyond these mechanical and compositional anomalies, what truly gives the 1969 D penny its aura of value and mystery is its cultural and historical context.